I came home one time and the neighborhood kid is sitting across the street with a lemonade stand, right? I walk over to get some lemonade and it says $5 per cup, which by the way is
Outrageous.
fucking outrageous.
You live in a good neighborhood.
$6 for friends and family. That's what it said. $5 for it's $6 for friends and family, and then it said $5 for everybody else. Right? This was a little lemonade stand. Right? I thought it was fucking pretty funny too. Right? And so I walked across the street and I was like, my man, $5 for a glass of lemonade, that is steep. I said, what do you say we do it for $2 for a glass? And that kid is he's my daughter's age, so he'd be 9 years old. He looks 9-year-old kid. At that time, he was probably 7 or 8. He looks left down the street and he looks right down the street and he looks at me and he goes, "My man, do you see any other lemonade stands here?" And I was like, "This
It's just
supply and demand." And so then I said, "Wait a second." I said, "So how much for me?" And he goes, $5. And I was all, "What? We're not friends?" And he said, "We will be when you buy a glass of lemonade, and then you can pay $6 for your next one." Dude, I just like,
And
I was
now
like,
you're getting a deal.
Yes,
You're getting a deal somehow.
And go.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hey there.
That's not my thing. That's Donut's thing.
Wait, what is?
Hi, everyone.
Oh, well, I just say hi.
Welcome to the 2A Procast, everybody.
I say, hey.
I'm surrounded by two guys.
Kinda.
Jacob and Jacob.
J squared. Jacob squared.
Oh, it's good.
J squared?
It's good. I don't know what we do, but we should start a club that's J squared.
I like it.
It's a ball fondling
What's
club.
your middle name?
Taylor?
That's a gay name.
Do you know my middle name?
Nicole.
No. It's way manlier than that.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Think about the manliest middle name that you could possibly think about.
Galen. That's my first name.
Not your fucking
That's the
first
manliest name ever. Let me explain to you.
When I
school.
first saw you, I was like, when we first met you, I was like, wait, what's his name again? I think his shot show thing said Galen, and then he said, "Don't fucking call him that." It's like I don't think he likes that.
When I was a young man, I'd fight you over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about the manliest. Guess a couple manly middle names.
Prometheus.
That is pretty sick.
It is, but it's manlier than that.
Ethan.
It's manlier than that. In fact, it is like 100.
Daniel. Daniel fought lions.
Can I?
Prometheus stole the fire from the gods, so.
True. Very true. There you go.
That's pretty good, dude.
It's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
Literally,
It's manly.
it's manly.
That's pretty
Actual. Yep. Came out of the womb.
good.
Doc took one look at my vagina and said, "This boy's gonna need some help.
He needs to be
At least
manly.
give him the middle name."
good. You know how that one
Your
boy got
doctor
named
named
Sue?
you. He
need
scratched
the
out
opposite.
what middle name you had, and he put, "I'm gonna help him." But
I'm
manly.
gonna help him. Which
It was like the doctor that birthed you was actually like a raging alcoholic, and he was like, "That's weird. He's a man." And like, doctor scratched man on your shit.
Jacob Shannon Dines.
Dude,
No,
that's
that's manly.
there's nothing fun about a unique middle name when you're in elementary school either, because that shit became womanly real quick, and that's
yeah.
exactly what I was for
I,
a very long time. Womanly.
There was a girl in my kindergarten class whose name was Taylor, and my middle name was Taylor. Dude,
Oh,
that was a
yeah.
girl's name.
I don't
love
want
that
that.
fucking
I don't want
girls.
to hear it from either one of you, dude. Galen.
Yeah, listen up,
Tackett.
Gaylord.
Listen, Galen. It's rough enough. There's no Y in it. But it doesn't
Galen.
matter. It's rough enough. Yeah. And then my
Galen,
last name,
dude.
Tackett. What does that rhyme with? And then
Smack it, tack it.
Damn it.
Dude, it's so many stupid things like that, but also just the one word, the F word that we can't
F
say,
word.
right?
Bundle of sticks.
But then also right in the peak of me coming of age, like ninth grade, they released Meet the Fockers.
Oh,
And his
no.
name is
Gaylord Fokker.
My whole life, dude. Everyone finds out my name's Galen. They're like, oh, like Gaylord.
Gaylord.
Like, you're the first one, bro. Good on you.
I know.
Good
Yeah,
on
you're the
you.
first
You're
one.
so
You're the only one to
original.
hear.
Yeah.
And how many times did I have to hear, like,
Womanly.
State Farm?
Jake from State Farm.
I can't
That's
and
not
I can
even good.
I can see it coming from a mile away because somebody will be like, "What's your name?" and I'll say Jake, and like you could see like the little their like face light up and the light switch come on and they're fucking
I'm
little brain, dude.
original.
It's
Yeah,
always
they're
the
like,
person you didn't like to begin with.
State
too.
Farm. Yeah, I know.
Like, I already don't like you. Don't finish with.
Yeah,
I know what you're
I
thinking.
know what you're thinking. I know where you're going with this.
the khakis.
Oh God.
Is there a Y in that name? Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And
If they're
you're
being
12.
real creative, they'll ask me what I'm wearing, and yeah, it's just it's real fucking.
God, I never thought of that. I'm gonna call you in the middle of the night now.
I did have
What are
somebody.
you wearing?
What are you wearing?
Jake?
Somebody somebody emailed customer service one time and said, "What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?" We did take a picture of me, and I was wearing khakis that day, and I sent it back.
I
to
remember
them,
that. Yeah, you were wearing a blue polo at the same time.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah,
I was there for that photo.
Good memoir.
So
of
find out
geisha,
if
my
you
friend.
bother customer service with the right thing, you'll get a response. So
And possibly a
good luck,
picture of Jake.
everyone.
Yeah, well, absolutely not. We'll not help you with your order, but I will send you a picture of me in khakis. Right.
God, that's my favorite.
I know
thing.
the rest of your order was complaining about how something was late, but you're getting a picture of me in khakis.
I love the people that like get on the comments and they're like, "Stop making videos. Go get the customer service." And I'm like, I don't know if you know how a company works. I am so many layers removed from customer service and or shipping.
I love that shit.
I'm
love
like,
it,
I
yeah.
make videos, bro.
Yep. And I knew it was coming too because when we first started making armor, I remember everybody had a lead time. We were kind of talking about that back in 2020 and 2019. It was 2019. There were lead times on all sorts of body armor, and I remember getting on AR500 Armor Republic's like YouTube channel and just like checking them out, poking around, and looking in the comments, and that's what people are saying. They were like, "I'm fucking 12 weeks on my armor, man. Why don't you go make my armor instead of making videos?" I'm like, this is the owner of the company trying to promote his company and trying to stay in business so he can employ the people that are making your armor. And there were people in the comments just ripping him up. "Why are you making a video right now? Why aren't you making my body armor?" All right, listen up, you selfish fuck. It takes people to make the armor. It takes him to keep the business in business to get the people to make the art. You know,
It's like
just
there's
so
5
funny.
operations. Each operation has a person already doing it. It's like, no, stop making the video and now go be the 6th cook in that kitchen that's completely disrupting
Literally
everything.
the worst
Yeah,
thing.
that would, it would absolutely make things worse if you walked in there.
This
trying
guy's
to make
already
armor.
chopping the celery. Take the knife from him and chop the celery.
Hey, guy that knows how to make videos and not armor, go make my armor.
Hey, you know,
you don't want me
hired
making your
be-
armor, bro.
You hired me because I'm goofy and fun on camera. I'm gonna go be real serious with the shipping people now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's very true. That's very true.
Listen, Steve from Wisconsin is
When
very
somebody
upset.
got in there and was offended by Tackett when he started out in shipping when he first got here, like, go figure.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
It might have been me. It wasn't.
Get in the Discord, everybody. Discord/2apro/.gg. Links in the description.
Discord.gg/2apro. That'll get you. Yep.
Go check out the 2A Pro course. Jake, take it away on that.
It's a little bit of a course if you're trying to make some dough in the Second Amendment. We show you from start to finish how to start a business in the Second Amendment, how to source suppliers, find manufacturers, do all the fun stuff, and get it on Amazon and on your website. We build a website for you, deliver it to you under your own domain, and help you along the way, always holding your hand and your crotch and your bosom, and well, maybe not your bosom. Wouldn't want to go to jail, but we hold your hand throughout your manly bosom throughout the entire process, so that you're never alone while doing it, and you can leverage all of our resources. And that's that for that. And it's called the 2A Pro business course. It's down in the description. The enrollment link is down in the description.
Don't be a hoe. Get on 2A Pro.
Ooh, don't be a hoe. Get on 2A Pro.
And this is Tackett.
Who likes to whack it?
Anyways,
and
I think
smack it.
Whack it and smack it, tack it.
Tic tac,
whack
patty,
it,
whack
tack it,
I
dude.
used to have a guy that followed me around and would say, "Smack it, tack it," and then he would throw a shoe at my face.
That's hilarious. Can I be that for you now?
His name was Amos, and when I was in 7th grade, I wore a little silver necklace and a leather jacket. And do you remember
Let's
PDAs?
see where that's
Dude,
going.
The little personal.
Anus,
it was
anus?
like
Yeah, the
before-
PDAs, yeah.
I had a PDA. I was that kid. I fucking carried a briefcase to school. Dude.
Hell
Yes.
yeah, dude.
Awful nerd.
Galen.
Awful nerd named Galen. And he would be like, "Smack it, tack it," and then hit me in the face with a shoe.
So the first time I got beat up was when I showed up. Look, Trapper Keepers had just come out, right? And I was like in 2nd grade or some shit, 3rd grade. I forget what it was. But Trapper Keepers had just came out. It was like all over the fucking TV, Trapper Keeper, and it had this little foldy thing. Well, they were so popular that when you went into the store to buy them, they were gone. The only one that they had was one with like unicorns and rainbows and dolphins. Okay, it was very much
literally always that one. The fucking dolphin.
It was
one. It's the only one.
the
I ended up
dolphin.
with the goddamn dolphin one. I'm cussing so much at the beginning. I ended up with the goddamn dolphin one every fucking year because we always went late. I always had the gayest Trapper Keeper. I'm already carrying it to school in a goddamn briefcase, dude.
Yeah.
Set up a failure.
Samba vibes.
I'm sorry.
because
I'm
we wouldn't
sorry.
know,
You
we
just
know. It was late to
flashed
the
me
back of
back to
school
the
sometimes.
Trapper.
That's
You
exactly
had to have the Trapper. You could not have it.
Yeah.
But like, god damn it.
You had to have the Trapper Keeper, yeah, but it was
triangles and dolphins.
And I was like trying to get creative. I was like taping paper over it to where it's like still a Trapper Keeper, but it's like I bound my Trapper Keeper. But some kid found out that it was a dolphin and a fucking rainbow and was like, you know, fourth grade. And I'm like, you, and then it's like, bam, 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 just get your ass kicked for it. So it's like,
I didn't even pick it out. I didn't pick it out. My grandma picked it out. I agree. I'll punch myself. I agree. Talking about nicknames, I saw a meme today. It was a tweet. And it was like, our boss just banned overly specific nicknames, and the whole office is staring at Rat Snitch Brian, the good time ruiner. Oh, God, it's so true.
Why did Trapper Keepers die? It's something that I literally looked forward to being a parent and like making sure that my kid didn't get the dolphin Trapper Keeper and like
yeah, no,
they're
I
not
know.
a thing.
I know. I was telling my daughters about it when they started school. I was like, we're gonna get you a Trapper Keeper. It's gonna be awesome. And they were like, what? And I was like, I showed them. They were like,
Hell
oh,
yeah.
Right, they were awesome.
Trapper
They
Keeper,
still
dude.
kind
Are
of
they
like
still
they're-
out?
Yeah,
oh
you
yeah.
can still buy them.
Do you remember that design right here? This one?
Hell
Do you remember
yeah,
that
dude.
shit?
Yeah.
That was
Find the
that's
dolphin.
retro.
I'll find that dolphin one.
Oh, dude.
But it
this
was
is
like
a
you went to
I
Walmart.
love that you know what the
know?
dolphin Trapper Keeper was.
But like you went to Walmart and there was like
I know. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
That's the one.
Yep.
It was the dolphins and rainbows. Yeah.
Yep. It's the only one that was ever left.
Do you think this is a company purchase?
It was, dude, that literally the triangle.
It's $24 on eBay right now.
Dude, bro, I am gonna get that and just carry that around. Like, I need to take that to all my meetings.
You have made it successful enough that you could now come to meetings with a dolphin Trapper Keeper.
What would you say if like Elon Musk showed up and sat down with the dolphin trap?
I wouldn't say shit.
Not a f***ing thing. You think I probably need one of those?
Yeah, you know what would happen? All of a sudden, Trapper Keeper would be an 8-figure company again out of nowhere. They would rival themselves back from the Dollar General store.
Fucking right, they would.
Where do those even get sold?
Somewhere.
No.
Staples.
I don't know. They used to be in like Rayleigh's, I think. Like that's
Yeah.
where.
Let's see
Yeah.
if
Because
we-
now the
It
cool
was like
thing
the
is
back
like
to
a
school
cover
aisle
for
in
your-
Rayleigh's. That's where I think we went.
You gotta have a MacBook Air Pro with a cover on it.
Walmart
Insane.
sells Trapper Keepers.
I don't believe that at all.
Okay.
I mean, they might.
No.
Amazon.
That's what my daughter
Walmart.
told me. I was like, hey, let's go get like a fucking fold, like a binder for your thing. And she goes, I have a computer.
Right.
And I was like, oh.
yeah. Good
Yeah.
point.
Target.
That's exactly
point.
what she said.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I was like, fuck.
Which I think is awful. We literally retain information by writing it down.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's part of how a human works.
I
don't
retain
think
it by
that
seeing it.
Yeah, I don't think that translates into typing.
No.
I don't care how our brain gets remapped. I think there's something about
I could forget
Especially-
what I.
well,
better writing it. Like
Especially those of us who grew up and all we had were the fucking pencils and the
Yeah.
pens. You know what I mean?
if I'm
right,
taking
before we had the
notes
computers.
while we're talking on my computer, I'm listening to the computer click and shit. Like I'm not paying any attention to you anymore.
Right.
Like
I forgot what I texted you as soon as I texted you.
I hit send.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. It was out in the abyss.
It's the same with your GPS on your phone.
But more importantly
I
than
would like to. Were
Yes.
you about to change subject?
Yeah.
Well, I was not. Well, I was going
Okay.
to change subject just a little bit, just a small amount. I like not to bring us back to what we were talking about when we were off camera, but I think that it's important to f***ing note that no rules apply anymore in our industry with what we do and how we do it.
No.
I think just talking about the Second Amendment, talking about guns, talking about why we have them and what we're doing and how we train, I would just like to let everybody in the audience know, f them all.
Yeah.
Fuck anybody who thinks anything about you with how you train, how you make your videos, what type of gun you've got, what type of equipment you put on your gun, what type of swag you carry, what type of brand you rock. Fuck it, dude. Like, it doesn't matter. In fact, you said it really, really well that the more contrarian you get, the more underdog you get, and the more people you follow that aren't with that main kind of government contract feeding apparatus, the fucking cooler you are anyway.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what.
Yeah.
That and if you're looking at the government, I love the kit breakdown videos on YouTube
Yeah.
because I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
So I want to know why you had your thing set up
Fucking
like that.
Gaylord nerd.
Yeah, but like, dude, I can go back and look at like the pictures of my kit in Afghanistan, and like, dude, it looks awful.
terrible.
And at the time, it was the best that I could
It
make
was
it.
the shit.
Yeah, it was the best that I can make it. And all the advancements that go on in the industry, it's all good stuff, but it's all hyper focused on specific jobs, specific requirements, specific things. Dude, at the end of the day, the greatest military on planet Earth, the most technologically advanced military ever, got beaten out of Afghanistan by dudes with 100-year-old rifles and flip-flops.
That's right.
It's not about the equipment.
It was the flip flops.
It's the Indians, man.
was
It's not
about
the
the
arrows.
flip-flops.
It was
Yeah.
about the flip flops, dude. That's all I'm saying.
They had
right.
they had a bigger picture commitment to what they were doing, and they used war. They used the men and the equipment as a vehicle to accomplish that greater goal. And the U.S. lost it because we didn't have a greater goal.
No,
It was just
they-
there.
They had motivation through ideology.
Yeah,
and there was-
economies win
there
wars,
was-
man. Like your gear it's such a small little part.
It is such a small part of it, but and again, like using, falling back on your gear and trying to blame your gear for not doing well and trying to think that, dude, you know what happened when I bought a new set of golf? Look, I'm terrible at golf, and I think we talked about this before, but like the whole golf analogy, terrible at golf. I had like a $200 set of clubs. I told myself when I break 100, if I ever break 100 strokes in a golf game, a legitimate 100, no mulligans, I'll buy a new set of clubs, right?
Yeah.
And one time I was out, I missed a 3-foot putt to get 99, and I still shot 100. And I said, "Fuck it, I'm going to go buy a new set of TaylorMades or whatever it was at the time." Anyway, no, it was Callaway. So I went and bought a fucking, God knows, like $3,500 fucking set of Callaway. I got worse. I got fucking worse because my fundamentals weren't there. I was playing with a new set of clubs. Nothing improved with my game.
Well, you
In
don't
fact,
know the gear. So what type of shaft did you get? How, like what
Yeah, I don't
did you
know.
get blades or did you not get blades?
Yeah.
Did you get beginner clubs that were 3,500 because the company that made them? But is the shaft for a 65-year-old lady?
Yeah.
Like if you don't know what you're talking about, you can
No.
spend all the money you want in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And initially, I think some of the irons that I did buy afterwards, because I was like, I'm going to get the best of the best, and I got blades. Well, you got to be really fucking good to hit with blades.
I play with blades, bro.
Right? Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I had to
played
get
with
now.
1987 Arnold Palmer Spalding made blades, dude.
Hell
And they will ruin your
Jesus
day.
Christ. So I think it just boils down to do what you got to do. Go out and train. Have fun. Don't spend a ton of money on gear. And who gives a fuck what people think about you?
Put lead down range.
And start playing golf.
Specifically with
Start
Callaway
playing-
ballistics.
I want to get back
Playing
into golf,
I
man.
know,
Yeah, let's go to Top Golf
fun.
I
sometime, guys.
love, dude. I'll eat you up at Top Golf. Straight up.
I've never been.
Yeah, I'm suspiciously good
go.
at golf.
It's like $60 for an hour. There's no reason we shouldn't be doing this.
Never been to Top
Yeah.
Golf.
You've never
I
been
gotta-
to Top Golf?
I've never been there. One time,
Oh,
yeah.
man, it's a
never
great
been
time.
there.
I've never been there either, but like it
Great.
sounds
Oh, you
like
haven't?
great. No.
Yeah,
You never
I
been to
know.
Top
I was
Golf?
at-
No.
Dude, it's a ton. It's like playing darts, but with golf.
Yeah.
And also, I don't lose at Top Golf.
No,
I don't lose at Top Golf.
you don't lose a horse either. Apparently, shooting horse. Oh, did? Oh, Yesterday, huh?
Yeah.
No shit.
It was close to
was
a
close.
blowout. He got me
Really?
all the way to S, and I hadn't given him a single letter yet.
Damn. If you guys haven't seen Horse, it's like the other videos in our channel where these two and I joined the last one where we get out there and but it's like basketball with guns.
Yeah.
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 Because it should be fun. Shooting guns should be fun.
Shooting guns should be fun.
It's
When
rad.
you grew up shooting guns with your grandpa, was he out? Was your World War II veteran grandpa passing down to you the fundamentals of infantry
Field
marksmanship,
drills?
or was he just smoking a cigarette, letting you shoot a 410, and
That's
making
pretty
sure
much
that
what
you
it-
knew how to shoot a shotgun?
Yeah.
Yeah, he let you shoot it, and then he took the 410 shell and then set it out on a post and goes, shoot that.
Yeah.
And then when you shot it, he took the one that you just shot, sets it back out there.
Now
shoot,
shoot
that.
He sticks his cigarette on the
And then when his Kerr's banquet is up, he goes, ready?
yeah pole.
That's cool.
Macy grew up shooting beer cans. I feel like it's a time-honored thing.
and let's
is.
and we can get away from I think we can get away from the military has this, they standardized this, or they've created a certification for this. And
military grade is
That's-
the worst possible option, and it's not that all
and
of it's bad.
I'm not even talking about mil spec. I'm just talking about any government standards that are set by anything. Because one of the things that we were talking about before the podcast that I found was really interesting, and then we'll pivot to what we're supposed to be talking about on the podcast. I promise.
You're the
I just
one that
found
runs
this
the structure.
incredibly. I know, and I'm the one that's taking us all away. I was like, I started this before we even got started here. I was like, we need some structure in our podcast, and that's why I came with this.
made
And
it
here
so
I
much
am,
worse.
just taking it all away. Because we were talking about, we're like, okay, we got to make our next. We're gonna make our own tourniquet. The question was the Tackett. So and Nolan, like, so it's got to be TCCC.
Yeah, no.
Right. Let's just be. It's got to be a TCCC tourniquet. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Because the government told us that that's the standard.
Because
That's the where we-
TCC told you that was the standard, but who
NIJ
owns
certification.
TCC?
That is a NIJ certification is a standard that was set forth by the government to give to government officials so that they could wear it. And we're going to probably be selling it to American citizens who don't trust the government, but they're going to trust the certification that they've put on it.
It's just a strange
It is a
catch-22
very strange
that our
catch-22.
whole community finds themselves in, where it's like,
Yeah.
we need some sort of guide on like what's a quality thing.
Right.
So you just default back to like, well, it's what the military uses. But then you have the entire veteran class that comes out and is like, do you understand how the military makes those decisions? And then everyone looks at us, the people that know,
Right.
and they're like, that's stupid. The government doesn't use that. Like, you just said that you're buying this to overthrow the government because of how broken and terrible it is. But you will only use the items approved by those very same stupid people in order to overthrow them.
Government
That's a
profile
weird-
barrels.
It's dude, yes. The fact that the fact that they're named. Do you know the thing behind government profile barrels?
I do.
Government profile barrels. You're talking about the
They're thin and then they get heavy after the gas block. It was a boo boo. It was an fucking accident.
It was an oopsie.
And now it is a type of AR. The government ordered like 20 million of them or some crazy thing, and they couldn't go
it got
back.
machined incorrectly, or it was designed
No, they were like
incorrectly.
delivered to whoever sent the designs off or whatever. Like however the mistake came to be, that heavy part on the front is not supposed to be there. It serves no purpose. It's the dumbest barrel design
It
ever.
makes it less accurate. It makes it heavier out towards the front.
Yeah, it's
and
the
it's
dumbest-
worse for heat dissipation.
And it was an actual accident. But every AR manufacturer in the company sells a government profile barrel.
That's fucking beautiful.
And it was originally just some idiot in the government that was like, that looks good, and sent an email.
It's
and
like
then,
the ACU, dude.
Right.
Did you? It's like hammer forged barrels.
Oh my
Hammer
God.
forged barrels. You want to go off on that real quick?
Can I go off on something that's like one of my favorite things to go off on?
yeah.
Do you know the only human being I've ever heard, ever in my life, the only human being I've ever heard say that ACU was a quality camo?
I know the answer
Can
to
you
this.
fucking guess who it was?
Bakken?
Tim Kennedy.
Oh.
He says in his book, he has a whole paragraph where he talks at length. It's not even like a passing thing that he said in a podcast. He wrote a book that he read 52 times. Every word in that book, was scoured over by a team of people. And there's an entire page in it where he praises the ACU pattern.
That is the
No veteran.
He's
never,
like the ACU.
ever
No
in the-
other veteran.
in the history.
No other veteran.
He's like,
I
the
will-
ACU was great for the environment we were in.
He literally says ACU patterns are great in two places. Laying down on your grandmother's couch. I agree. I've seen that picture. I agree. The other place that it works is in a gravel parking lot, right? So you just assume the next thing out of his mouth is a gravel parking lot. And he goes at length. He goes in this whole diatribe about how excellent ACU is for Afghanistan. It's the most insane.
So that digital pattern, the only thing I remember thinking when they issued those to us was
I would rather die in Woodland.
yeah, I'd rather die in
like what I look like in
Well, it was absolutely coming off the DCU, right? So we were already in DCUs, and they issued the ACU, and I was like, you know what? Why do they want me to look like a Marine? And then my second thought was just because Marines had the digital camo before the ACU came out, and I was like, why do they want me to look like a Marine? And I hate to admit this, but I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can look like a Marine. I was like, and I will never admit that anywhere else.
I felt the same about the Blues.
Because I always.
I was like, oh, these are almost Marine uniforms. And like, I was a staff sergeant in the Army.
I know,
I was
like,
Army. And like, I was like,
Army,
ooh, almost Marines.
Okay, yeah.
There's a hierarchy to that, and I don't care.
I
can
know,
talk
I
to
know,
a
I know,
Marine
yeah.
that did 3 years, never deployed, and he was a private the whole time, and I'm like, damn, you were a Marine?
You're a Marine. Oh, shit, dude. Like, fucking boot camp was crazy, huh?
Yeah, like,
you know what I
what
mean?
the f-
It probably like boot camp for them was probably harder than combat for us.
Explain to me why there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. I don't know what happens on Paris Island, but whatever it is the greatest. It's the best mind
Whatever
wash
it is
ever.
don't ask, don't tell. Because if you tell people you're not a Marine anymore, I'll tell them what you did at Paris Island.
Yeah.
Once a Marine, always a Marine, right?
And they're the reservists that literally just went through Paris Island and never did anything else but like help some people in Louisiana on a flood, and they're still.
I know, and they're still just fucking.
Marines.
They are the same across the board.
Every Marine is the same Marine.
You know
And
what I think?
they really are. I haven't really met a Marine that was like kind of different than other Marines.
they're
I've
all
never met a
Marines.
Marine that was like
No,
a total bitch. You know?
Because we're just nowhere near subject anymore. Can I float what I think the difference is?
What?
When you're in the Army, you are private so-and-so.
Right.
That's how your drill instructors refer to you. In basic training, you are still a person.
Right.
When you go through Paris Island, you
You are
have
a
to refer
Marine.
to yourself in third person as this Marine. So you go to your drill, or what are they? Because they're drill instructor. I don't know what they're.
Right.
They're not drill sergeants.
They're
like
drill
DIs or something.
instructors, yeah.
But you go to them and you say, like, drill instructor, this Marine needs to go to the restroom or whatever. You don't exist anymore.
You
You
are
don't even
Marine.
refer to yourself.
I don't
as
even
if
have a
you
name
exist.
anymore.
No, you're just this Marine.
Oh,
you are
okay.
describing to someone else this piece of
This
government
Marine
property that
and
needs
that
to do a
Marine.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
I think that's the fundamental difference.
Interesting.
Because you maintain a piece of your
I
maintain
was
a piece of your personality.
I was
in
a
the Army.
soldier before I got to basic training.
That's right.
That's
I tattooed U.S. Army on my back before I walked in that motherfucker. All right.
What if you had gone in the Marines?
Oh my!
They would have killed you.
I think they would have just cut it off.
Someone
me.
would have cut it the fuck
They would have
off.
cut it off. Me.
Some
yeah, yeah.
Marine DI would have
Yeah, I
just
would have just started doing it.
I can see that man's neck.
yeah.
You can either leave or you can take the knife. You know what I mean?
How many?
They
how
would
many-
have branded it off of you, dude. Just burnt the skin.
however they hide what happens on Paris Island, when you watch like YouTube videos or documentaries,
Yep.
you can watch all the Army documentaries you want. And there's plenty of great documentaries that make Army Basic look pretty bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's all varied experiences.
Yeah.
Like, you're going combat arms, the guys that are teaching you are combat arms, like, you're gonna get
Yeah,
wrecked.
hooked up.
It is what it is. The Marine DIs, none of them can ever talk. Every documentary with every single one of them,
That's
they're
true.
all of them are yelling all day long.
Yeah.
None of them are able to talk.
voices
They have no
Whatever's
voices,
happening
yeah.
there is different. It's different.
There's just only a certain decibel can come out of their throat at any given time.
I'm
They-
sorry.
No, it's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Now,
Yes.
now on to the show.
Yeah. Hi. Welcome to the 2A Pro.
Welcome to the
So,
Yeah, go for it.
what?
No, you do it.
No,
Yeah.
please. What? Did you have something, or do you want me to
I have
break in
nothing.
it? Main
Yeah,
topic.
Main topic.
Main topic. Hunter Biden
Yeah.
got pardoned. Oh boy. Okay, so let's dive straight into this. First off, I
Did
will.
you see for the length too?
What?
Yeah, 11 fucking years. Yeah. Dude,
Did he
from
get pardoned?
2014 until he leaves, until now. Till now. Yeah,
I could
mean,
be wrong. I haven't spent a lot of time investigating.
No, 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 I
pardons,
got- I
but
got the whole- so
I
I've
don't
got
think.
his-
Is there any other pardons that aren't for a specific thing?
No.
I can't think of any off the top of my head where someone
No,
just
even
got
Trump's
blanketed.
pardon for Charles, whatever his name was.
Yes.
Trump's father-in-law was Trump pardoned his father-in-law.
Yeah.
The guy that's going to be running he's
Blue Force gear. I don't know.
what?
You just said blue. You just said blue.
His-
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
no, he like before he got out, he pardoned his father-in-law. I do know that, but it was I believe it was for a very specific case, but
I don't know.
and
They're
everybody
all
does it.
corrupt.
Everybody does it.
Does it.
You
There's
knew
been
that he
there's
was
been
gonna do
multiple cases in history. It is not the problem that he pardoned his son, and I want to make that fucking clear because look, I would have
It's the
pardoned.
problem. The
I would have
FBI
pardoned.
didn't put him in prison beforehand.
I would have pardoned my fucking son. But what I wouldn't have done is through the election process lie to the American people and say that I'm not going to pardon my fucking son, and then tell my administration to lie to the fucking press and the American people that I'm not going to, and then come back on Thanksgiving weekend after I didn't get elected and go, just kidding, pardon my son, and not even take ownership of it. Look, I'm just a dad. I'm going to pardon my son. You know how it is. I would have I wouldn't respect him. I would have respected that response.
I'd respect
The
him
fact
like
that
a-
came
if
out
he was
and
just
said,
like, I can,
He
so I
blamed
did.
it on the fucking justice system.
Yeah.
He blamed it on the fact that people were targeting his son. No shit, your son is.
He's an international fucking criminal.
Your
dude.
son is an
Like,
international criminal. Your son is also your son, bro. He's in the spotlight. You never had the conversation like, listen, hey, man, if you're going to do bad shit, just be careful because I'm the president. People are going to have eyes on you, man. You know what I mean?
I'm
and if
sure
you do
he
bad
has.
stuff, like they're going to come and fuck you. That's the conversation that should have had.
Yeah.
The people aren't after you or your son. They're after you because of your position, you dumb fuck. And you have to have the conversation with your family to stop doing stupid shit when you become a president.
Dude,
Anyway.
I wouldn't pardon my son because I would have killed him before he got to this point.
Well, that's the thing, though, is he's pardoning his son for behavior that he forced him to do. The actual victim in all of this is Hunter. Hunter never got a chance to have a childhood. He never got a chance to be a normal human being. His dad looked at both of his sons as political pawns
Right.
that he could use to commit illegal activity.
Yep,
He
that's a good
put
point.
his son in a place where he could say, it's not mine, it's in his bank account. He
Right.
set him up to go to prison
Yeah.
all along. The only decent thing that he could do is pardon him.
Yeah.
It's just, you both need to go to jail.
Both
of you.
There is a 630-page report documenting 191 sex crimes, 128 drug crimes, and 140 business crimes. There's a couple super
with Hunter Biden.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. So whatever he
630
pardoned, I mean, he just blanket pardoned everything that could ever come to fruition to nail him to the cross for absolute treason from the United States. Because that's what it is.
All of it.
When his laptop leaked on the internet, the pictures and videos that came off his laptop, it wasn't just like him hooking up with all these prostitutes and smoking crack and like just I don't know why you would ever film that stuff, right?
Yeah, it's
because you're smoking
also
crack.
piles of child porn. All of that stuff got pulled off the internet, and the official explanation was that that footage, all those files, the reason that because Google owns like 80% of the internet,
Right.
Like they host it,
Right.
They literally pulled that shit off the internet, and the reason was because it contained potential family members and child pornography. So it wasn't his computer, and it isn't him. But it's him, and we think that there's Biden family members that have been sexually exploited by this person, and we don't want to participate in that by allowing it on our server. But it isn't him, and it's not his computer. It was and that was literally when it was during the election cycle. All of that went down. So it was the most insane cup of Kool-Aid you were supposed to drink ever.
I'm gonna link in the description. It'll be the top links. I'm gonna put a couple Twitter posts in here so you can look through them if you want. If they're still there, hopefully they will be. But for instance, like this one that I have right here it's a supercut, and it starts with Biden saying he will not pardon Hunter, saying to the American public, I will not pardon my son. I will stick by the justice system. And then it's like MSNBC, CNN, all these people going over and saying like, yeah, he's going to stick to his word. He's not going to do that. There's another one here of KJP, the correspondent. And she's like, she's constantly saying no. Like they're like, will Joe Biden pardon his son, Hunter Biden? She's like, how many times do I have to tell you this?
Yeah, it's the level
That's
of
exactly what she
condescension
said.
that comes
Oh, it
with
was.
No.
Massive condescension.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she said. She goes, I've told you before. I will tell you again. We are not equivocating when we say he will not pardon his son. And I mean, it was so cut and dry. You couldn't even find a way around it.
But they did it with that's the problem over the last 4 years is that they dropped the mask. They stopped trying to sell something to the American public, and they just talked to the American public. This specific administration was just full of people that let the cat out of the bag. That the elites in Washington think that you were an idiot that doesn't deserve an explanation. We can do whatever we want, and you're stupid to even ask me a question. That's why Trump won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trump won because people watched KJP and they were like,
what the
Yep.
like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean it's not his laptop? Like,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
He's right there smoking crack.
You're telling me that Google had to take the pictures down because they know who the children in the pictures are? Then who was he?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Joe Biden way back in the day talking about his no tolerance crack policy, his drug policy, where if they find a crack rock just this small, you will go to federal prison. And that is in the link as well with him saying that, and then also videos of Hunter Biden smoking crack. My favorite one that I found is Dr. Parikh Patel, and he posted, Joe Biden is so worried about my son Kashu becoming director of the FBI that he decided to pardon his son Hunter of all of his crimes. And then posted a picture of his son and then Hunter Biden.
Dude.
That dude
is going to go in there and f some shit up.
He's bringing a machete.
I know.
He's dragging a sword down the hallway.
And it should, because that goes right into memory hold. Now, we'll talk about this. We'll keep talking about this for a minute, but that leads me right into like what Cash is about to do to the FBI, and there's something that we cannot forget about the FBI. But just one last thing about this. So I wanted to touch on what he said. So did you read through his actual
Cashew? No.
No, not Cashew. I'm talking about, did you read through Biden's submission to the actual pardon that he wrote?
No.
Oh, it is he is not, it's kind of like I said, he's basically taking what he's doing and blaming it on the justice system. Okay. So he says, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter from the day I took office. I said I would not. No, so he literally admits right here, from the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department decision making, and I kept then he fucking lies, and I kept my word. even as I watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Okay, what? What do you mean? What he's saying right here, like, I just want to break down what he wrote because I found this really interesting when I had to read it multiple times to really kind of understand it.
I said specifically
They're so
in my
particular
book
about individual words, and
I said I wouldn't. He said, I told you from the beginning and the day I took office that I wouldn't do this. And then I haven't, and I kept my word.
No, you didn't. You
I
did
kept my
it.
word until now.
right.
What he's trying to do here is say, look, I told you that I wasn't going to do it, and I didn't do it. I mean, until now, but all
Right.
that time, I didn't do it.
Right.
All of that time, I didn't.
And then somebody's gonna read that and say he kept his word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's the lie is simple and
So-
easy and repeated.
Out aggravate without any aggravating factors, and he's downplaying everything his son did, right? Like, it was just one weapon charge, buying a weapon as a straw purchase without aggravating factors.
Right.
Like multiple purchases or a straw purchase. People are almost never brought to trial on felony charges. The same guy.
Didn't
I
he
can
push,
give you a list of people I went to high school with that are still doing time
I got a
for
list.
no gun at all, first time drug charge.
Didn't he also?
Because of Joe Biden and mandatory
Yes.
80% minimums. You can do 100 years because you were 16 years old and you crossed state lines with the right amount of weed. And we're talking about weed. And there are black dudes right now doing 100-year prison sentences while the shit is legal in the state they're in jail in. Fuck him.
Didn't he
Fuck
also
everything he just said.
push through no tolerance in FFL stuff?
Yes. Yes.
Putting people
Dude, the
in
first-
prison for
yes,
clerical
it was-
errors?
That is what I'm talking about.
They changed like a single word in the FFL management stuff. As soon as they took office, they went after the gun stores. They don't have
Yes.
to go after the manufacturers or the buyer. They go after the resale point. And they made it to where if I enter your birth date, serial number, driver's license number, address, anything, any level of clerical error, there's no such thing as clerical error. Everything is intentionally trying to disguise the final owner of the gun. So if you fuck up the serial number, the way the federal government treats that now is like if I took the gun out the back door and sold it to a homeless person, it's the same violation. And his administration did that.
Yep.
While his crack-addled son throws a gun that he shouldn't have owned in the first place in a dumpster behind a fast food restaurant.
Yep.
Who goes to fast food restaurants?
Kids.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
It's unbelievable, dude.
I was in that dumpster. Continue.
I'm sorry.
So no. Don't apologize.
I'm so angry.
No, this is the epitome of corruption right here. The epitome of fucking corruption when you have spent the entire tenure of your political career putting people in fucking prison for this exact thing and then lying to the public saying that because you had done all of those things, you wouldn't pardon your son and then going out and pardoning your fucking son. Dude, it is mind-blowing how many people are sitting in fucking prison for the exact same thing that he just pardoned his own son for. You know what, dude? It'd be one thing if he was like, listen, I'm pardoning Hunter Biden. I'm also pardoning anybody else that's sitting in jail for exactly what Hunter Biden did.
Marijuana's legal. And it would be a great PR spin
Yeah,
because
dude,
then no one is talking about this and everyone's talking about marijuana's legal now, right?
Yeah.
And they're too stupid to even just do that shit. They're just terrible at their job.
So those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, right? That's what he people don't go to jail because they were late paying their taxes because of serious addiction. That is not what's happening right now. What's happening is your son committed fucking full-blown tax fraud and lied about the amount of money that he said he was fucking making.
10 figures.
Wait a minute.
That's a wild lie.
He says that's not okay, but the Pentagon fails 7 audits in a row?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Isn't this crazy? The reason why I wanted to bring this up and go through this almost line by line is because just every word that's coming out of his fucking mouth is either a lie or it's just, it's looking you in the face and saying, hey, the sky, it's not blue. It's not blue, right?
Yeah.
It's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. And it's kind of a last ditch effort when he gets out of office to say, I'm going to tell you that the truth is actually, I'm going to tell you that black is white and white is black, and I'm going to walk out of here, and you're going to believe me.
The Ministry,
and you know
Ministry of Truth deals in lies.
And this is why the pendulum is swinging back the other way.
Read the book.
The reason why the pendulum is swinging back the other way, and the reason why you could see it swinging back the other way, and the most fantastic thing about the time that we're in right now is you see liberal fucking media getting on and saying, hey, this isn't okay, because they know it's not okay, and they know that we know it's not okay, and they know that the administration that's coming in knows it's not okay. And they're like, if we don't get on board with this because people can see the fucking writing on the wall, then people are going to hate us too, and we're going to have no control because people are going to stop watching liberal media.
It's MSNBC puts themselves up for sale. And the only person that even floats interest is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, that's not what we meant. But like they're failing. CNN's failing. MSNBC, Joe Rogan crushes them on views. Crushes them.
Yep.
Rachel Maddow is taking another pay cut. Like millions of dollars off of her salary every year.
From
another
like 50 million to 30 million, I heard.
No, I think she's at like 18 and she's going to 12, or she's at 12 and she's going to 8. She's losing like 4 million a year. I'm very rough on numbers.
How will she
But
make
the
it?
Fox News people, Tucker and Sean Hannity, far and away, like they out-earned everyone else. Like they were both making like 20, 30, 40, something like that. And then CNN, even Don Lemon only made like 20. He's like the biggest name on CNN.
How will
I
they
would say
ever
too,
survive?
I would say there's supply and demand on that too, right? I mean, what conservative news agencies are truly out there other than
find you another Tucker.
Fox and Newsmax? But I mean, really, Fox was the only real mainstream conservative news agency out
and
there.
And so fucking fired Tucker because Tucker said out loud, well, Fox also made everyone take the shot. And they were like, you got to go. you got to go. And he was just like, all right, I'll take your entire market.
Yeah.
His first Twitter thing did like 100. It was like 100 million views in 10 minutes or something.
Also,
insane.
can we talk about just like 10, 15 seconds of how hard that first Tucker video went on Twitter? Oh,
it was exciting, dude.
Yeah,
it was exciting.
It was kind of the birth of like,
they crashed Twitter. Which is insane.
But it was also it was the birth of we don't need the untouchable fucking media telling us anything anymore because regular people can report regular shit, including us right now doing this thing where we don't have anything except what the government said. And we can sit here and break down the truth based on the lies that are in these 4 fucking paragraphs of his distribution to the fucking White House and to the American people.
I think the most beautiful thing that Tucker proved is because there were a lot of people that I know a lot of guys that walked from cop jobs and military jobs, and there was a lot of people that drew a hard line and walked. But no one saw, no one cared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When Tucker did it, he proved that it could be done, and so therefore, all of a sudden, like he got ad dollars. There were companies that were forced to market through these mainstream channels that realized like we don't have to. Right. I don't have to toe this line to keep Coca-Cola alive.
Right.
I can market with Tucker and Joe Rogan and crush it.
Yep.
And you can see it in the industry. There's all these companies that are coming out now and saying they're just ditching DEI. They're firing whole marketing firms and stuff. Like, there is a swing coming. Like,
yeah, the writing is on the wall. They already fucking know it. They watched. You know, that's the beautiful thing about America voting and America voting towards the truth is when that truth comes out that the majority of Americans don't want that shit anymore. Then everybody's like, uh-oh.
Because America's
it didn't just change the administration. It didn't change the legislative branch and the executive branch. It changed everything. It changes everything. The whole fucking landscape is going to shift.
Do you think though that you're established? I don't want to say New World Order because there's a whole conspiracy theory with the New World Order, but there is a controlling governmental interest that comes from like the WEO and the WEF and like the UN and NATO, like all of that crap.
Yeah.
I think all of those people have a great deal of interest in what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they do. I don't think those people are cool with what the American people just voted.
No.
And your major corporations aren't cool with it. Your major corporations have spent the last 4 years saying they hate you.
Oh, you're talking about fucking BlackRock, who has controlled the fucking dollar, the value of the dollar, and exactly like the whole state of our economy in some sense or term, and pushed back against certain crypto and the use of being able to use digital currency is now poised to make a $9 trillion fucking investment into XRP.
It's interesting
into
to
Ripple.
me that you have this.
They're about to go in and fucking make a huge investment into it because they're like, oh, I guess if we can't beat them, join them. Yeah, fuck you, man.
And you have a legitimate argument being made by people that are being appointed into offices that we're going to gut the FBI, we're going to gut the IRS, we're going to close the doors of the ATF altogether. Like people are saying wild stuff and getting appointed into these offices. Have you heard anyone say that we need to go after the top 3 investment firms that own the world?
Nope.
I haven't heard anybody say that.
Not yet.
And that's interesting.
Not yet. Yeah, that is interesting. That's a very good
circus.
Kind of Yep. That's a good point. Is this the circus?
Like, so they've relaxed the IRS on taxes and they let us own some fucking machine guns and they just keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Man.
It's like, I know I'm going to get a comment in here in somewhere in this podcast, like we do in all of the other content that we film. When people think I'm talking positively about Trump, I want them all to burn.
Yeah, I don't like any of them.
I don't like any of them.
Trump is
He's just the best choice right now.
He is a vehicle for change that we as a community can rally behind, and I think he is the best viable option to go to D.C. and be a hammer. It's the same, dude. I got blown up about
Do
supporting
I think
Matt
he's
Gaetz.
a good man? No.
Yeah.
Do I think he's got good intentions? Probably not.
Dude, my last news episode, I got a bunch of hate where they're like, "Well, what about Matt Gaetz now?" Like, Matt Gaetz is gross. I don't know if those accusations are true or not.
He was never intended to be the fucking AG in the first place, man. That was like that was a bone that got thrown from Trump to Matt Gaetz saying, "Hey, man, I'm going to help you out. You helped us out. You're here for America. Blah blah blah." Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hook
all
you
the
up. I'm gonna hook you up.
accusations don't have to be true because nothing that the president just said about pardoning his son, not a single thing is true. So all the accusations to get Matt Gaetz, I don't know if they're true or not.
Yeah.
Am I overly surprised to find out that a politician in Washington D.C. was like a gross pedophile? No. like,
I'm not shook.
yeah, but even in that event, I wasn't interested in Matt Gaetz being AG because of his like moral character. I was interested in being AG because he's a fucking asshole. He is an asshole.
Yeah.
I do not like that dude.
He's gonna come.
But I don't want to fight him. I'd much rather he fights on my team.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. You don't want him to be fucking against you.
He's smart.
So then we get into paragraph 2. Basically talks about his plea deal. Right? So it says the plea deal that he had on the table before they pulled it was fair and reasonable because that is the president of the United States is allowed to determine what is fair and reasonable when it comes to a plea deal inside of a courtroom. No, mother. That's a justice system. They get to determine that. And if somebody determined that plea deal was not fair and reasonable, then they will pull it and they will do something else to that individual. The judge can do what they want to do with the plea deal. The judge can throw a plea deal out the window. That is the justice system that we live in. And for you to go against that is for you to go against the entire fucking, we are a country of laws and you have gone against that. And that proves it right here. So
Trump is the death of democracy.
I could spend 30 minutes talking about that. Like, do you know what that original plea deal was, right? The reason the judge threw it out? They had an agreement that all the parties went over, and it was an agreement that would have expunged him for like the gun thing and like some other piddly shit. The DOJ slid in this additional like paragraph that was like buried in the plea deal, and it just was like a single line basically that said like, you also just get blanket immunity, and the judge was like,
no,
that's not a thing.
No,
we don't just give a human being like immunity on anything you've ever done. Like that's an insane thing.
Like Biden
and the
did with
judge,
his son.
yeah, that
11-year
judge
immunity
was
between
telling the DOJ that you can't do that. She was telling the Biden crime family that I'm not going to let this fly in my courtroom. That was a huge deal for the judge to throw that thing out. For him to be like, "Oh, I disagree with that."
Yeah,
unreal, dude.
I am hoping that if there genuinely, and there is, but if there genuinely is some way to find and prosecute for like child pornography that he had on his laptop prior to 2014, prior to this fucking little blanket immunity thing that went into play, I think that would just be money. That would be fucking
Seems like
money.
he documented most of his life on Apple products. So it's all backed up
so
somewhere.
it's going to be somewhere, and something's
Maybe
going to come
we should
out
call
that's
Steve
like
Jobs
prior
up.
to this date. He probably should have backed that up another 10 years.
Seance
Yeah.
with Steve
You think
Jobs.
the DOJ can't subpoena Apple's? You think Apple doesn't have internal records of everything that's ever happened on any of your devices?
Yeah, no doubt.
And I'm sure Hunter. Let's be real. How much trouble do you have remembering passwords?
Oh yeah.
You think that dude knows his passwords?
No.
He's got one password. It's cat123
Absolutely not.
for everything.
So no reasonable person looks at. So he says no reasonable person can look at Hunter's case and say they can reach any other conclusion other than Hunter. He says other than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. And that is wrong. Okay, so a couple things here. No reasonable person can look at the facts of Hunter's cases and reach any other conclusion that he was singled out because he is my son. Hold on, right here. I'm gonna bring up here. We got some offenses here. Okay, so I pulled up. This is how not true this is. In fiscal year of 2021, over 7,700 individuals were convicted of firearm offenses. In 2022, over 9,500 people were convicted of firearm offenses. This is all during his tenure as president, marking the highest number recorded since data collection began on firearm offenses. So in 2022, when President Biden was president. More people were arrested and convicted on firearm charges in some capacity than any other year in history since we've been recording firearm charges. Okay. And then the next year was just shy of 9,500 at 9,400 in fiscal year of 2023, slightly below the year's previous record. Now, hold on. Let's go back to what he said.
And not a single one of those was a kid in Baltimore with an illegal machine gun pistol Glock switch.
Yeah.
It was FFL violations.
The
I bet you
FFL.
if you broke down what that actual metric is, it's terrible.
Right. And so over the course of 3 fiscal years, only 3 of the 4 fiscal years, we've got 26,754 firearm convictions and firearm-related firearm convictions, which includes the FFL violations. The charges, no reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases, here's what he said, can reach any other conclusion other than he was singled out. Singled out? Yeah. What about the other 26,754 people that you arrested in those 3 years?
If you come in the gun store and you lie on that thing, the state police, they show up immediately. You go to jail that day. You're a felon now, that day.
Or you check something off incorrectly.
So what was...
That's what no tolerance
Get
means.
confused on a 12-digit serial number in the middle of your day.
So just so everybody is aware, if you don't know, we'll talk about it here. If this is where you're getting your news, hope not, but if it is. 2018, Hunter Biden was charged with 2 counts of making false statements by certifying on a federal form that he was not part of an unlawful user or addicted to any controlled substance. So he said, I'm not an addict. I can buy this gun, even though it was very documented that he was an addict and he was still buying a gun, whatever. Unlawful possession of a firearm. He's also charged with 1 count of illegal possession of a firearm while being a user of illegal drugs, while being a user of illegal drugs during that current point in time, which they could prove.
He was sober during the court case.
Now,
which is like,
it might have been sober during the court case, but they could prove like that at that time with the pictures and the videos that he had of him smoking crack, that he went out and bought a gun the next day. You were high.
Now, let me state.
I bet there's pictures of him, crack, prostitute, and gun.
I believe you should have the right to smoke crack and have a gun. That's not the problem.
No. We're not saying that like, hey, he broke the law with a fucking gun. He lied on the form. Like,
no more gun control. That's gun control. Make crack legal.
Yeah, we are not advocating for gun control here. What I'm trying to tell you is these are the charges that were brought against him. These
rules
are the
for thee, not for me.
The rules for thee, not for me. And these were the amount of people that were fucking arrested for firearm-related conviction, not arrested for, convicted in these 3 years. Then we got his tax evasions, right? So he's got 1 count of tax evasion for over $1.4 million in federal taxes between 2016 and 2019. And not just that, that's okay. So we've all maybe not paid a tax or 2 here or there, trying to avoid it.
Nope,
paid
never
with cash.
not once.
Especially like you're a millionaire, you have large sums, you have an accountant worrying about stuff, maybe stuff rolled over.
Fell through the cracks. Nope. Filing false tax returns. So he filed false tax returns, providing inaccurate information on his federal tax filings during the same period, and misdemeanor tax offenses. Now let's go to
7 audits.
7 audits with the IRS. Now we've got tax fraud violations. So I want to bring us back to that same place where he said, nobody can reach any other conclusion except he was singled out because he was my son. And then I will go here and say that without reading you year by year by year, I will give you a total. I think I put it in here somewhere. I didn't, so I'm going to have to go year by year. You're going to have to total it up yourselves. In 2021, over 2,500 criminal convictions for tax fraud. 2022, 2,550 convictions with tax fraud totaling over $31 billion. And in 2023, these are all the years that he was in office, 2,600 criminal investigations and convictions totaling over $37 billion in tax fraud and financial crimes.
No, those people weren't singled out because they weren't his son.
Let me clear this up.
How many of those people made less?
2,600 criminal investigations with 88% conviction rate. So 88% of 2,600. And then, sorry for not doing all the math on that. And then in the 2,500 criminal investigation case, that was more than 90% conviction rate. So you can do the math. Lots of people tried and convicted of tax fraud, but they're singling you out because he's your son. We're talking about thousands and thousands of people and tens of thousands of people in the case of the gun crime thing. And I will also say this, which is going to be completely contradictory to the point that I was just trying to make, is yes. The answer is yes. You're right. Like, they were singling you out because He is your son. At the same time, let me explain this. Let me explain this.
agree.
Maybe you should be held
are
to
a
a higher
public-
standard.
Yes, you are a public figure, and you and your fucking family, you are the president of the free fucking world, man. And you and your family are held to a higher standard. So when somebody sees you and your family, especially with the shit that you're doing in office and prosecuting people for the same shit that your son did, they're going to go after your fucking son. So that demands a conversation with your kid to say, hey, man, like, you know, you're part of this, like, thing where we're the presidential family. You can't be doing dumb shit. And at the time, you were a vice president of the fucking United States.
It's
he
like
was-
It's not like you just fucking popped into fucking office
that's
without
the-
holding office.
That's the thing that
prior
kills
to
me
that.
about this is like, at the end of the day, the Bidens will get the black smear for this, and it really won't be that big of a deal, you know? But what really happened here was that Hunter Biden was operating the same as Chelsea Clinton and other, like, politician family members. But he was doing it, he was the talking head for Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of Defense, Obama as the president, and Joe Biden as the VP.
Yep.
The email servers, when all the email server,
Oh,
like
yeah.
all three of them had a private server at their house, and they know that Obama, Hillary, and Joe were all talking to each other. They were all using pseudonym names, and the reason all that stuff got wiped is because all three of them were selling access to the highest office in the world through Hunter, through Burisma in Ukraine.
Yep.
You can't talk about the Ukrainian conflict. You can't talk about geopolitical stuff unless you understand that they were messing with billions of dollars in other countries' economies. That's why Russia was pissed.
Yeah.
They weren't
in countries that were outside of fucking NATO because they don't want them in NATO, which is gives them carte blanche to perform
right.
that behavior.
You have to cut everything that I
Yeah.
I know. My
All
entire brain was going, how much of this do I have?
I know.
But like
I was
the
just thinking
real,
the same thing.
Like the real story of what
I'm sorry.
happened
Did
over
you
the
just see his
last
mouth
6
moving? You
years.
can't even let his
maybe
mouth
we
move.
should-
You
maybe
got to
we-
put like a thing over his
We're going to
mouth.
put this on. Maybe we should start a Patreon for $1 for the uncensored podcast.
There it
It's
is.
just- I mean, you can't talk that. Like
leave
that's
it,
the
leave,
real
leave a
story.
comment. Leave a comment down there if you guys would actually, because we'll make that move over to Patreon and actually like spend the time and the work to be able to do that. If you guys like would subscribe to that,
Yeah.
that would be an interesting to know if you guys would be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Where we could just talk about the no word.
Yeah.
It's so insane
Oh
that I'm
God.
not allowed
yeah,
to say what I just
know,
said on the
I know.
internet. It's
I know.
so it's so
fucking insane.
Well, no. You
I
can
couldn't even
say
say
it.
it in a
I just have to
newspaper. I
cut
couldn't-
it.
Yeah.
Which,
but-
fun fact, you want a fun fact?
Yep.
Almost all of our podcasts are getting full monetized now because I go through and cut out you saying the word fuck.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Am I the only one that says that word?
No.
No, but you're
Am I?
way worse.
You are you are the lead suspect in that case.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I got to tone that down.
Well, I
didn't
mean,
know.
you toned it 2 podcasts ago. 3? It was you said it 220 times.
Ooh.
And then the last podcast you only said it like about 120 times.
Are you downloading the script and hitting Control F and then seeing that there's 220 instances?
just doing
of
it in DaVinci? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going through.
Fuck.
It's
I
funny.
said it again.
Yeah, it's because it's funny. I'll be setting the markers to like get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it'll go Jake, Tackett, Jake, Tackett, Jake, me, Jake.
All right. Well, you know, like Eminem said, Will
Fuck it.
Smith don't have to Will Smith don't have to cuss in his rap to sell records. Well, I do.
Yeah.
So fuck him and fuck you too. So
Just takes me an extra 20 minutes. No big deal. You do you, boo boo. You do you. I just thought it was fun.
So, you know, then he panders to,
smearing.
his son's sobriety, 5.5 years sober, yada, yada. He even brings this up in the formal pardon. He says, this is the formal pardon that I'm reading. This isn't like a statement about the pardon afterwards. This is the pardon. There has been an effort to break, well, it is his statement about the pardon. I digress. That statement is false. But it goes in line with the actual pardon of the years that he was, that he actually initiated. The pardon itself is a little bit shorter. It shows the years, and then it kind of like it covers all the bases. And I should have printed that out.
No
and I
worries.
didn't. But it covers all the bases. But this was kind of the statement that goes along with it, right? So his entire career, this is what he says. This is what he tries to tell us, right? My entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth.
Not a single
hold
day
on.
of his career.
They'll be
Single day.
fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system.
No, you don't.
Okay, dude.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
You circumvented the justice system. And then you lied to us in the same breath. Literally in the pardon, when he said, I will not pardon my son, and then I am pardoning my son, he said, I have followed the simple principle, just tell the American people the truth. And then he tries to tell us what the truth is, which is that he believes in the justice system, which he doesn't because he just circumvented it. But I have wrestled with this. I also believe that raw politics has infected. This is probably the only, this is really the only true thing that he says right here. This is the truth, that raw politics has infected the process and has led to a miscarriage of justice. And has raw politics infected the process and led to a miscarriage of justice? I think we can all agree on that. He's speaking in the context.
Be in jail.
Yes, exactly.
This is another one of those unpopular Trump opinions.
Yep.
Trump made a lot of money by hiring contractors that he knew he could crush in court and then not paying them. Yep. Because what are you going to do? You're going to close the doors on your business because you can't fight me in court? I'll close your business. You better take this L and keep it moving. That's why he's a billionaire.
Yep.
Super hard to be a billionaire and not do stuff like that.
I think the only reason now he said, listen, I hope the Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. He says, there's no sense in delaying this any farther. That's why I came to the decision this weekend. Okay. A couple things here. I think one of them was like pressure, being around his family, close knit for Thanksgiving. But I think another reason was, I'll bet his son said, Dad, what if you die? What if you die before? What if something happens to you?
I also just figured that you're doing stuff. It's Thanksgiving. You're not going to pay any attention to it.
Yeah. No one's going to understand. But I genuinely think that when he says there's no sense in delaying it any farther, I think he's like, I don't know if I'm going to fucking make it until January 20th. And, I better do this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't write any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the fact that I even think he wrote this is just like the complete bullshit behind all of it. So, yeah.
Anyways, thank you. Moving on.
Okay,
Hit me with memory hold.
Yeah, moving on, though, when we were talking about Cash completely dismantling the FBI, I wanted to, put together a reason why.
Can we start calling him Cash?
Cash.
Wait, you want to put together a reason why the FBI should be dismantled? Literally just go back to the original conversations between Hoover and True.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Yep. I'd have to defer to the internet for that one.
The original formation of the FBI was not great right out of the gate.
Yeah, neither was the CIA. Both of those protocols
they were bad right away.
So, I wanted to talk about Christopher Kuhn. Christopher Kuhn. Do you know who Christopher Kuhn is?
It's the Marine, right?
He was the Marine who was there during January 6th, and he was peacefully protesting on January 6th. The only thing that they did, they had him on video moving a podium to prevent a barricade from closing. That's what he did. He moved a podium, prevented a barricade from closing, and that was the extent of his 75-day sentence. But this is not okay. So you prosecuted the guy for being there. It was how the FBI. Listen to this. I don't know if you know this. Let's talk about who he is a little bit, right? He was a retired Marine. He was in the Marine Corps for 20 years. He was decorated. He had a Purple Heart.
No such thing as a retired Marine.
Oh, that's right. Well, no, former ex-Marine. Right. No such thing as an ex-Marine. He could be a retired Marine, but not an ex-Marine. So, there was an FBI raid on February 11th of 2021. The FBI raid was, I'll explain it. So the neighborhood was surrounded by heavily armed FBI agents in armored vehicles. Approximately 20 SWAT team members participated in the operation, going into a man's home where it was him and his pregnant wife and his 4-year-old son. Okay. Annette, which is his pregnant wife, opened the door to FBI agents with rifles aimed at her and their 4-year-old son. I found this was pretty funny. This was in all the news reports. Laser sights were visibly trained on Annette and her child. Jesus. Laser sights. Okay. I don't know if that's... Sure. Do they use laser sights in the FBI?
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense to me. If you know that you're going in to psychologically just scare the hell out of somebody, you just turn your PEC 15 on Viz. Because
on Viz,
there's a
there you
good
go.
psychological effect of that, I guess.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know why. If they are doing that, then Jesus, they're way more professional.
So conditions during the raid, the family was forced to stand outside their home during the raid in 12-degree weather. They were forced to stand out there for an extended period of time in 12-degree weather, both his wife and her son, and they were barefoot, inadequately dressed, and the raid lasted an extended time where the family remained outside. So he was, hold on, I'm trying to get here. Okay. Pregnancy complications. This is where the story turns, right? The day after this FBI raid, where they were forced to stand outside and put under all that stress,
miscarriage?
she had a fucking miscarriage. They killed a fucking baby, dude.
Yeah.
Any way you slice it, everything was fine. They've already had a son, no previous miscarriages to speak of. It was the only miscarriage. They killed her fucking kid. They killed her unborn fucking kid. Because they decided, instead of just waiting until the guy woke up the next day and walked out to his car and went to work and said, no, they decided in the middle of the fucking night, we're going to take 20 fucking SWAT officers, break down the door to their fucking house, put their family outside while we go in and arrest their dad in front of him. She thinks he's being taken for the rest of his fucking life because this could be some fucking terrorist.
Yeah, dude, the FBI just showed up and knocked your front door down.
Yeah.
Is there anything scarier than that?
Right.
Like, because what's the government, what's their average conviction rate? Like 92%? I mean, it's like,
yep,
you're fucked.
22-year veteran.
They're really good at convicting, really not good at passing audits.
Yeah, they're really good at convicting because because it's a federal court with a federal judge and a federal agency, and like they all go play golf together.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah. And when I looked into this further, he just got out 2 weeks ago. So he was sentenced to 75 days in jail, in prison for being there on January 6th, just for being there. So he kept this man away from his. They came in and arrested him. His wife miscarried. He's already detained while his wife is in the hospital miscarrying their fucking child, and this man is sitting there completely separated from his fucking family. Then he ends up going to jail. A couple of months ago, he gets out of jail a couple of weeks ago, and he was in there for 70 days.
But the worst upon every single one of those officers and whoever wrote off on that raid.
Right.
Yeah, you have a responsibility inside these organizations. When you see wrong, you have the right to say, like, I'm not doing that. Like, you just quit.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
And I hate the argument like, well, I got a family. Bro, me too. I quit.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Guess who was about to have a baby?
Figure it out. Yeah. Dude,
Somebody was building their
the
family.
FBI do you know one of the Do you know one of the main reasons the Virginia governor race in 2016 went Republican? Because Virginia is like a super purple state. In Virginia, the lead up to 2000, no, it was the 2020 midterms. I think that's when the governor flipped. Leading up to the governor race, the last governor race in Virginia, where I can't remember his name now. Youngkin got elected. The guy that he ran out of office allowed the FBI to conduct undercover surveillance on Virginia families that the dad had gone to school board meetings. If you as a family member in Virginia, Northern Virginia, if you went to any of the school board meetings where there was an entire cover-up of 2 different girls that were raped by a transgender student, and the school administration moved him schools and covered the entire thing up. He raped someone else, they covered that up. The dad, one or both of the dads got arrested at school board meeting. And they were mad. They were yelling, you know what I mean? Like a cop touched him and he was like, off me, you know what I mean? But like, I would too.
Right.
Like, there's not even charges brought up against this dude. Like the parents couldn't get charges against him. But it expanded from that individual thing into anybody that came in and said, like, open the schools, stop masking the kids. Like, this is terrible for children, what you're doing. The FBI conducted undercover surveillance of those people. Private American citizens going to a school board meeting and arguing for a better existence for their children were surveilled by the FBI as domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
Fucking real,
that is
dude.
Unbelievable.
And when that information came out, it swung the state of Virginia hard, because Northern Virginia is like blue.
Right.
Like, it's all retiree government people. It's blue. And it everyone got behind Youngkin. And the only thing that Youngkin ran on was like, you have a right as a parent to decide what happens with your kid. It's the only thing he ran on. It crushed the state.
This to me is like the same thing where that fucking pilot had, illegal firearms in his fucking house, and they decided to do a fucking midnight raid and then
shoot his ass in front of his
shot
wife.
him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what was happening. He's somebody's
It's a
breaking into
no-knock
his
raid at 3 o'clock in the morning. Of course I'm coming to the door with a gun. They know that, though. They know that.
Yeah, and
I think
I think they were hoping for the same thing in this situation.
He's a Marine.
Oh, look, dude, we got this got this veteran Marine. He's definitely going to come out with a fucking gun. He's going to hear something out in front of his house. He's going to have a camera go off or something. He's going to be prepared, man.
We're public enemy number one.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was no reason why this couldn't have been done in broad fucking daylight while he was at the fucking grocery store and got out of his car the second he was grabbing a fucking grocery cart or a buggy, depending on where you're from in the United States.
Don't they say criminals act in the shadows?
Yeah. Yep. Criminals act in the fucking shadows. And that's exactly what they did. And the fact that anybody in the FBI is going to look at what this guy did because they briefed him. These guys aren't stupid.
No,
dude.
none
They're
of
in the
that
fucking
happened.
FBI.
That wasn't an immediate thing.
No,
they
were
had weeks, months of planning on it. You know
they
what
said,
I mean?
watch this guy. Look at him.
They knew the whole neighborhood. They knew
everybody
everybody that lived everywhere. They had a whole layout of everything.
And if you look at the video
coordinated.
of him on January 6th, he's got a helmet on and he's got a plate carrier on or some shit like that. He's not doing anything. He's just walking around with it, right? And so they're pointing at him. They're like, "This is the fucking guy, 22-year-old Marine." You can just imagine the little situation room that they're in, the briefing room that they're in before they go and do this.
Yeah.
Now listen, he's there. He's got a wife. He's got a pregnant wife, and he's got a 4-year-old son. And I think the best thing we can do is break into his fucking house in the middle of the night. Make sure you remove that wife and the pregnant son out into the fucking freezing cold weather, which is what we're about to be in. And when they're out there, then we're gonna arrest them in front of their father.
Do you know?
And in front of her husband.
Do you know how the FBI?
This was a thing. This was fucking planned. And then 20 grown fucking men said, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think we should all go in and do this.
Grown defenders of freedom and the American way of life. That is the oath that you're taking. You are saying as an FBI agent that you defend the Constitution of the United States and the American way of life. I don't know exactly what your oath is, but I guarantee you that shit's in it.
Yep.
You know?
Always is.
Do you know how the FBI raided Eddie Gallagher's house, the Navy SEAL that supposedly killed a kid in Syria? And I don't really care if it's true or not. I don't.
Yep.
When they intentionally sat on his house and waited until he left and then no-knocked his house. They knew that his wife and kids there, and they did it anyways. They waited for him to leave and then no-knocked his house. It's a scare tactic.
Damn.
They scare the shit out of your wife and kids, and they hope that she rolls on you.
Yep.
Or they just do it because it just fractures your entire support system.
Fucking Christ.
Imagine if you just woke up tomorrow and your house is getting no-knocked by the FBI. You don't get information and your wife is drug off to jail.
Yeah.
You're immediate, especially as a wife too. You're immediately like, what was he up to?
What did he do that I didn't know about? What second life was he leading?
From a quick Google search, it says, "I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same." And then also their motto is fidelity, bravery, and integrity.
You're violating your fucking oath.
Fidelity, bravery, and integrity. Wow.
Violating your fucking oath.
There's
a
amazing.
whole organization called the Oath Keepers that I think is probably like an FBI sting, like all the other ones are. I think 3%ers is FBI shit, and the Proud Boys is all FBI stuff. I'm sure the Oath Keepers are too. But that's literally the Oath Keepers' entire mission. Is we're going to sign up law enforcement and military people that actually believe their oath, and we're going to keep our oath. And if the government gets weird, we as the Oath Keepers will band together against them. But
right. And there was not one dude out of those 20 dudes that said, "I'm not going to show up. I'm not doing that."
Right. That's my I don't have an issue with the director of the FBI. I don't have an issue with the politicians. I expect you to be this gross.
Didn't you say courage was one of those, or bravery?
Fidelity, bravery, and integrity.
Bravery. What is brave?
Integrity, dude.
About 20 dudes going into another dude's fucking house in the middle of the fucking night, scaring the shit out of his fucking family.
I could argue you having to break into some dude's house in the middle of the night. Yeah, sure. That's
no-knock
brave.
raids are dangerous.
Yeah.
They take a lot of bravery, but when
But
they
it
did the
doesn't
mission
rack
brief
up
on
to
that,
all three of them in any way.
No, it doesn't.
No,
not at all.
And it's worth the argument. If you are an FBI response team, I'm not super abrased with the FBI. I don't know if you have to be like HRT to be like a door kicker for the FBI, but either way, you're not a paper pusher. You're more than likely a vet in some sort. You're really more than likely ex-special operations with a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
You are intelligent, committed. You have done this stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
You're a fucking professional.
Yeah.
And you are allowing yourself to be used against the American people because you won't just say no.
Yep. It's
Just
not some dude
fucking
out of
say no.
Springfield Police Academy, 1 year out. No, these
Just
dudes are seasoned.
Just fucking quit, man. You can make $25 an hour working at Starbucks. There is a way.
Yeah.
There's a way.
Yeah.
You
Not to
don't
mention,
have
if
to be
you
a
are the
part
one
of
that
it.
quit, you could be the fucking martyr that took one for the team and go out there and publicize
Right,
it.
quit and
This
write a
is why
book.
I did it. Yeah,
Yeah,
write a book.
yeah.
Yeah, here's why I left the FBI. And then
if
get
Tim
on
Kennedy
fucking...
can write a book, then
There are platforms that'll put you on there. And so, why did you quit? You were with the FBI. Boom. And they'll put you on fucking
Do you
Fox
know
News
how
or wherever
fast
it
you
is,
would
and they
be
will
on
control your
Sean
story.
Ryan?
Yeah, how fast
yeah.
you go on Sean Ryan, Joe
fuck
Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, like whatever. Like you'd hit the circuit.
Yeah, you'd be a traitor to some people, but you'll be a fucking hero to others.
You'd be a traitor to a bunch of traitors.
yeah, exactly.
I think one of the intrinsic issues with organizations like the FBI is you have to have a 4-year degree.
Yep.
You cannot work there without having gone through the brainwashing institutions of of American colleges. So like,
yep. Do what you're told, do what we tell you, and then when you get here, you're gonna do what you're told and do what we tell you.
Like, you've met government employees.
Hey.
I don't care if you have an FBI badge.
No.
What is the percentage of those people that are just retarded?
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever been to the DMV, that's what the entire federal, that's what the military is. How many people did you meet in the military that had rank, like real rank, like sergeant majors and colonels and shit that you were like...
They could have been on the other side of a DMV counter, and I would have known the difference.
I watched a full bird colonel argue with Jimmy John's about a Subway sandwich. And the like high school kid was like, we don't make that. And he was like, I'm a colonel. That was literally his argument. And the PX was like, I'm a colonal.
And did the kid say, "We'll go back to KFC"?
This like high school kid whose dad is also a colonel.
Did he say,
like,
"Go back"? We'll go back to KFC then.
No, he was literally like, it was literally like Jimmy John's and Subway was like literally next to it. And the kid was like, they make that sandwich there. And he was like, he just kept saying to him, I am a colonel. And the kid was like, that's great, man.
Like Colonel Sanders?
They make
like
that sandwich over there. And like they got in a yelling match with each other. And I was like a baby private in the Army. I just remember marking it as like, your rank does not make you special. That dude is retarded. How could you get angry about that?
That's fucking rad.
I want a Big Mac. So this is Burger King. I want a Big Mac.
I know.
I'm a colonel. If that's his like decision-making
that-
process, then like that's how all of the decisions are getting made for everyone underneath
That
of him.
literally is exactly what it's like. It's like
Yeah, it's
walking into a Burger King and saying, "You want a Big Mac?" Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a colonel.
Horrifying.
But the army, you could do that.
Yeah.
How many times we were getting ready to deploy one time, and we painted all of the, like your connexes have to get your unit shit, and then there's like a connex serial number, and you have to go through and paint them all, and like it's all on the paper, and it's such a pain in the ass. We like did it all for a week, got all of our connexes ready to go, and like that Friday, we were all held. No one knew why we like couldn't have our safety brief, and it was because all the COs were having a meeting with the SCO still. So the entire battalion's just sitting around Friday at like 6 o'clock, just for no reason, just typical Army shit,
Yeah.
They come out of that meeting that has gone on since like lunch, you know what I mean? Just hours.
Yeah.
And the only usable piece of information to come out of that meeting was that we needed to move the numbers from the right side to the left side. So the entire battalion had taken like a week to do this, and all of a sudden it gets done in 30 minutes and everyone goes home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it was just such a glorious
just a waste of
being a platoon sergeant at the time and seeing the defeated look on my company commander's face when he walked back in. He was like, literally the only thing I can tell you is that we got to move the numbers from the right to the left. Like, we go to Afghanistan in a week. That's all that came out of that meeting. Like,
This is the United
fucking
States
painful.
government.
it's totally useless.
And that's
man.
what it's like in the rear. But when you get there, it can move pretty high speed. You know that, right?
Oh, it
Like,
moves really high speed because all those people get out of the way.
Yeah, because all those people get out of the way.
Yeah,
It's
they
a
all go to the
well-oiled
talk and they
machine
don't
you're
want to
not
come
ma-
out and they don't want to be on mission with you. They don't want to know what you're doing. They don't want to be involved. And like, then all of a sudden it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because they're vaginas. But
Yeah.
can I talk about something
so
that
sorry.
grinds my goddamn gears?
What grates your Parmesan?
So, I released a video talking about how the United States government spent more time and funding to get Peanut the Squirrel than any Epstein client.
Yeah, yeah.
And the amount of people that are like, it was the New York State Department, it wasn't the U.S. government.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Google if the U.S. government
on.
includes the
Say
New York
that.
State Department.
Say that in English, not in retard. What was
Oh,
it?
sorry. They say that it was the New York State Department and not the U.S. government.
Oh, yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
The New York State Department is part of the U.S. government.
I said
There are people like that. That wasn't the federal government. I didn't say federal. Face.
it's the structure.
It's the whole contraption.
I got a bunch of crap on like one of the news things
fucking
because I
amazing.
said something similar about like how the federal government needs to stop like funding everything. Like there's like we just need to cut 80% of the federal employees. And someone was like, I like that people argue back, you know?
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
someone was like tried to get me and they were like, well, local firefighters actually get a lot like
Oh, I saw that. Was
talked
that the
about
one
being
that
a
was there was
firefighter.
like
It
a full
big-ass
thread?
one.
There was a full thread where people
he
going
was
back
like,
and forth on
the
it.
local
Yeah, I saw that.
firefighters get funding from the federal government, and like
I saw that, yeah.
I see that you tried to get me by saying like I know you used to be a firefighter and you were arguing for firefighters not to get paid, and like dude, I 1000% agree with you. You wouldn't have had the bullshit that you had during the flu scare of 2019 to whatever. You wouldn't have had any of that if local departments could have said like no. But there wasn't a single police department, there wasn't a single fire department, there wasn't a single anything that could deny because they get the lion's share of their funding is through the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea that like, well, local police won't enforce, but yes, they will.
Yeah.
Yes, they fucking will.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, they will.
They
did.
locked you in your house. They didn't let your kid go to school. They kept you from going in grocery stores. They arrested you if you came in a grocery store and didn't wear a
They
mask.
find your business.
Right. If I threw a fit because I had just gotten fired from my career job over not getting that thing that I can't say out loud, but if I lost my career over it and I threw a fit at work, who went to jail, work or me? So they did. They 100% enforced unconstitutional laws on the American people.
Yep.
We're all supposed to just eat it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
You should
in
quit
a
your
sen-
fucking job.
It
dude.
was in
I
every
don't
sense
know.
of a term. It was martial law.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like honestly, like there was like a point in that like period of time that like I loaded magazines and put my body armor in my truck and was like, if there's ever a day they say we can't go in the grocery store, I'm going in one time. I'm taking as much shit as I can. And we're in the woods then. Because no, the fuck you're not.
Nope.
You're not gonna tell me I can't feed my kid. You're already you already took my ability to buy them food.
That Trader
away
Joe's
from me.
employee is not stopping me.
Which just it like you came down and you said you're either going to do what we told you to do, or we're gonna take your ability to house, clothe, and feed your child.
Oh, also,
yeah.
we're going to lock you in a cage.
Right. And I wasn't supposed to be pissed off about that.
Yep.
Like my employer, the people that I hung out with outside of work said that to me at work. Said this is your option. You strong-armed me via threatening to not feed my child.
Right. What are you
What's
gonna
the
do?
next step, dude? There's only one step. We were only one step short of you arresting me, splitting my child up, and now I'm in a work camp. It was one step away.
Yep. So
I'm
that,
sorry.
no, it's fine. So that was memory hold,
passion,
and the reason why I brought that up, and the reason why we bring up the memory hold kind of segment of our podcast, is so that to kind of remind you, A, maybe you didn't know about this, but B, don't forget about that. Like, let's not forget about that
never
one instance.
forget.
So, you know, come back to that when they're like, but why is Cash like is okay with calling Cash?
Yeah.
why
I like
is
it.
Cash?
Why is
Kosh,
Cash?
Kosh. Why is,
Kashu?
why is
Cashew?
why is he dismantling the FBI? Well, there's one reason, right?
Yeah.
And are you guys gonna get into your segment?
There's plenty. Honestly, I think we should leave them for another time, but
Okay,
I think
yeah,
we
no,
should
we
get
can.
into our quotes.
We
and
can.
you issued a challenge.
I did. I issued a challenge with our quotes, and the challenge was instead of come with a quote, it was write your own.
Right.
Come up with it yourself from scratch. You know, maybe with inspiration from other, from other people that we follow and other men in our lives and women, for that matter, our own life experiences, and create something original. What do you got?
A man knows his limit when he accepts it. A man breaks and pushes past his limit when he rejects it.
A man knows his limit when he accepts it, and a man pushes past and breaks his limits when he rejects it.
Yep.
Nice. That is
If I had
good.
to steal that from you,
That's
I would just steal the
great.
first line.
That is fucking
Yeah.
fantastic.
Your limit is whatever you think it is.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah.
Like for real.
No, that's great. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
That is very good.
Thank
That
you,
is
sir.
very, very good. I really like that.
Thank you.
That's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Can we pause all this real quick?
No.
Because
It's live.
I
We're
know.
live
I
right
have
now.
to fucking.
Yeah, go. Do, 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 do.
I also have to pee super bad.
Yeah, he's got to swap out. Almost like the constant caffeine and nicotine do something to you guys.
Almost like it.
Thanks, man. Honestly, I kind of agree with Tackett, but the a man knows his limits when he accepts it. A man breaks past and pushes his limits when he rejects it. Yeah, because it's just the idea of like you can push yourself push it to the limit, right? You can get to that point. You can get to the point of being like, this is as far as I can go, and that is as far as you can go. If you say, yeah, this is as far as I can go. You get past that by going, I've got more.
Yep.
It's all a mental game.
It is.
It's all a mental game. Sure, there's going to be stuff like, there's going to be like, can you lift 7,000 pounds? Maybe not. Like there's limitations that the world imposes on you, like physics.
Yeah.
You can't fly.
Right.
Right? I can't just lift up. Maybe I can. I don't know.
No. Well, the thing, like you can, right? Like we can't, but we can use our minds to build the things that can put us into the air.
Right.
Right. So when people are like, fucking no, like there were people that literally used to say, they would tell the Wright brothers before they had that famous flight.
No, you can't do it.
They would the verbiage was that flying was it was reserved for the birds and the gods. Mm-hmm. The birds and the gods. That's how they would refer
Then
to
I'll
it.
become God.
Yeah.
Or a bird. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they said, "Hold my beer," and then they had that first flight at Kitty Hawk. Yeah. So. Yep.
Okay, who's next?
Go for it, Tackett.
Okay. So I actually said my quote last week because it is legit my quote.
Okay.
So if you've ever taken like a class from me, whether it was firearms related or I taught your EMT or I taught you in the Army
Or ball fondling school.
firefighting, yeah, I've done at least a decade worth of all kinds of different types of instruction. All of your professional jobs should operate off of a single policy. And it's that rule number 1 is always be sexy. If you care what your gear looks like, if you care what your fire engine looks like, if you care what your cop car looks like, if you give a shit that your Humvee's the cleanest Humvee in the parking lot, it means that you give a shit about your job.
You care about how you carry yourself.
Yeah. The way you walk, the way you talk, you are a professional all the time. And it's just a simple rule. You just, every time you look, when you put all your gear together, you look at it and you say, does that look sexy? Does that look like I know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And if it doesn't, why doesn't it? Figure it out. And it's just a constant progress of consistently making yourself better, being the absolute best at what you do. Yeah. And if you work in any kind of professional job, whether you're running a gun or fixing holes, you have to be the best. Like you have to be, because it's not about like doing the right thing by the patient.
Right.
If I'm punching holes in people, then I'm doing it to protect my friends that are with me. And if I'm fixing holes in people, then I'm doing it trying to protect their lives. Either way, there's lives on the line.
Right.
Any mistake in that environment means that lives got lost. Either way, right? If you have to go home and look yourself in the mirror and you know that you were a bag of dicks today, because you'll know, maybe no one else knows, but you know that you didn't know how to do that thing, that is worse than any amount of torture you'll ever get. You let your friend die. You let this mom of 3 kids die because you just didn't give a shit about being good at your job. If you're always sexy, that won't happen because you can go home, look yourself in the mirror, and you know you did the best you could. Look, those environments are extreme, and there's things that happen that you can't control, but if you're the best at what you do and you give a shit, you won't put a bullet in your head. If you're lazy all the time, inevitably, you'll realize that you're the reason. These things are happening because of you. Yeah. And there's no coming back from that. So always be sexy.
Always be sexy. That there was this story that I have about when I got out of the military, I started working in restaurants. I was just like bar backing and bartending and serving tables. I got a job at this one restaurant, serving tables, and it was a nicer restaurant. But I thought the things that I had done before was important, and this job is not important. I'm serving food. Yeah. And the general manager that hired me had only hired me because it came through a referral of somebody that I knew that had worked there. And she was reluctant to hire me because of the restaurants that I had worked at in the past, which were not very good ones. And I didn't present myself very well when I came in, and I most certainly didn't deserve the job that I had in that moment. And she would ask me on a regular basis, what are you going to do about your shoe? My shoes were just fucked up. They had I was coming from the other restaurant that I was working at, which was like fucking Olive Garden. I had like Zuppa Toscana soup spilled on the top of it and some, you know what I mean? And it was just, they were scuffed up. They were fucked up shoes. And she would say, you can't wear those shoes here. You can wear them there, but you can't wear them here. Here's a different place. We present ourselves differently here to our patrons, and you need to wear something different than those. And I kept showing up with those fucking shoes, and I'd wipe them off, and I'd try to clean them up, but they were still the same fucking shoes that she told me to change. And then one day, there was something called the daily reminders or something, or daily, I forget what it was. It was like the daily reminders on the screen that you logged in on. You would log in, and a little daily reminder would pop up. It would say something. It would say like, just be the best version of yourself today, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But one day, I logged in and all it said was this. It said, you could tell a lot about a person by their shoes. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
She's talking to me. Yep. And everybody saw it.
Yep.
Right? She didn't say my name.
Yep.
Other people didn't even probably
know it was me.
You got different
shoes after that, didn't you?
And I got different shoes after that because you could tell a lot about a person by their shoes. And that's all I had to say. And I changed my entire behavior because I was like, man, and then everybody's kind of looking at each other's shoes. And they're looking at me, and I'm the fucking guy. I'm the only one in the fucking restaurant with those fucking shoes, and it held me accountable because now she didn't have to say who I was. People knew who I fucking was. And
it says a lot about you.
It says a lot about you.
Super true statement.
And so I was like, damn. Yeah. Okay.
To the day I die, baby. Fresh white tennis shoes.
And the boots.
Yeah. A man that cares about his shoes cares about everything else in his life. And a man that lets the world look at his toes is gross.
Do a backflip.
So...
That's fine. You're still gross.
Here's mine.
Here, give me your shoe.
You're just gross in flight.
Oh.
So I've been doing some personal dismantling of who I was and trying to become a better human being. And for the entire world to know, I'll announce it right here. Everybody knows that I've been sober. I've tried to be sober. I've tried not to drink alcohol. And of recently, I drank again. And there you go. Now the world knows I drank again. And I've been trying to figure out a way to abandon old ideas and try to find a better path. Try to be a better human, a better husband, a better father, all the things. So I was doing some journaling, but it also came on the heels of us deciding that we were going to write a quote. And these two things kind of came in simultaneously. So this is not necessarily a quote, but it is more of an excerpt of a journal that I had wrote, and it is a few paragraphs. So bear with me. I wish I could remember it like you guys did, but I can't.
Well, always.
And maybe the first sentence could be the quote.
Well, we had a total of like 10 syllables between us.
Yeah.
You've got a total of like a billion.
I just want to read this to you because this is really important to me, and I thought a lot about it, and I cried while writing it, actually. So just shed maybe 8 here or half a tear. Maybe they welled up a little bit. But maybe the first line could be the quote.
If you don't cry while reading it, I'm not going to.
I don't believe you. It's this. Ego is the armor we wear, insulating us with an illusion of knowledge that shields us from the wisdom we truly need. Humility is the act of surrendering the armor of ego, laying it down beside us and embracing the truth that we don't know everything. In this surrender, we discover that true strength lies not in the fight, but in the vulnerability of capitulating to our own ignorance. Disarmament of ego, acceptance of surrender, and the embrace of humility affords every man the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to change, the opportunity to grow. I'm laying the foundation for the runway, which my plane can take me to a faraway place, so I can shed my skin, abandon old ideas, and open a door to a new way of life. The more work I do now, the longer the runway I can build. The longer the runway, the bigger the plane. The bigger the plane, the further I can go. The runway is built on the layers of ego that can be stripped from myself and placed upon the foundation of the tarmac. Humility is my aircraft, and vulnerability is my fuel. Surrender is my strength, and it's both the first and final step of my journey. Surrender is wheels up. Values are my compass, and the landing is when we have reached a suitable destination that will provide the resources I will need for me to become a better husband, father, employer, friend, son, and American. But none of this is possible if God isn't the pilot. All I have to do to crash the plane is grab the yoke. My pain was the price of admission for the plane ticket to a new life, and there was plenty of it. There was enough pain for first class, but I better stay in coach where I belong and trust that he will make a safe landing because I'm all out of parachutes.
It's good. It's real good. I really like the beginning of it.
Thanks.
I think a man's ego it's like the silent killer.
It is.
You know what I mean? I think it's really easy as a guy to identify like all your other fucking flaws. It's really easy to be like, I have a wandering eye. I don't treat my wife right. I'm angry. Your job is to be the leader. You're supposed to be the rock. It's so hard to then be like, oh man, I'm the fucking problem, you know?
Yep, it is. It is very difficult to fucking understand that we are the problem sometimes. But the only way you have to surrender to the fact that you are the problem before anything can take place.
And it's hard because there are times and there is position, and it's the nuance that surrounds the world where ego is required.
Yeah,
ego
think it's a man's challenge more so than a woman's. Is like you have to be self-determined. You have to be confident. No woman wants an unconfident man. So like, what's the line between confidence and just life ruining ego?
Right. And it is that balance of being able to know your worth, know your value, know what you're capable of, and that humility of being able to say, I can fail, and I have failed, but I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to keep pressing forward. I'm going to be unburdened. I'm sorry.
Dude, it kind of in line with that, but just because the failed thing, Jim Carrey has beautiful speech that he gives after graduation. He's like I don't know what it's called when you.
I think I've seen this. Yeah.
The college graduation. I don't know what the
commencement
speech.
Yeah.
Gives this commencement speech, and he just makes this beautiful point in it where he talks about because he grew up homeless and lived in his car, and he makes this point about the reason that he pursued his dreams, and it was because his dad was a wonderful man. His dad was a funny man. His dad could have done what Jim Carrey does. But he watched, the greatest lesson that he learned from his dad was that he watched his dad fail at something that he didn't want to do. And like, dude, I love that. Because it's egoless. It's, I'm just going to pursue what I like. Because your ego will force you to not pursue what you like.
Right.
You're a guy, you don't like art.
Right.
You're right.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like maybe you did.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have been the best painter ever, but you let fucking elementary school ego get in your way.
Yep.
I play dodgeball, I don't paint. It's gay.
Right. Right. Yeah. The ego is like, like I said here, it kind of shields us from what the outside world is, it puts this kind of facade up of what we want the outside world to see about us. And, that it really is. It's like this, like, what type of armor or what type of, suit can I put on that will shield you from what's really going on inside? And let me tell you, as like coming into some success with business, that there is nothing more difficult than trying to get sober, trying to become a better person when you already have all this shit that you can put out in front of you.
You've done a great job.
Look at this. Look at look at everybody's looking at, but don't look what's in here. Look at this. Look at what I have. Look at this belonging. Look at this possession. I'll sit behind
I did it in the military.
the
I'm
large
a staff
walls of a
sergeant.
home.
I'm
Right.
a platoon sergeant. There's people responsible for me. I don't any of this up. What are you talking about? There's no issues.
There's no issues here.
There's hell issues.
Yeah.
Hell, the only thing I had going for me was this one thing I can't let go.
Right. Nothing to see here because I'm shielded by my rank and my uniform and the things that are on the outside, and you cannot see what's really going on the inside.
real.
And that's all fucking ego.
I think ego is kind of like a lie too. Like the only person that believes it is you.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why, but I just had this thought recently and I can't like get it out of my head. Like when you lie, you only lie to yourself. Because like I lie to you and like the original sin is that you believe what I said. But the real fucked up part is that over time I am what I am. Yeah. So you'll figure out my lie. But because I said it to you and every time I interact with you, I live in a world where that lie is real. I convince myself that the lie is real. So the only person that believes the lie is me and everyone else in my life moves on.
Yep.
Once you've sold all these lies, the only person that lives in your reality is you now. And you can't see out of it. Everyone else can see that you're full of shit.
It's two things. It is one, to lie to someone, you first have to lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And then exactly what
you
you're
just-
saying.
You have to
just
say
have
it.
it
You have to say it inside. And then
It's at first you're lying to the other person and they believe you. And then in the end, you're lying to yourself and no one believes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just stuck in a world that you created that you're the only one that sees. And that's why like
And you're angry at them for not
that's
seeing
why,
your
that's why
world.
like egotistical liars always resort to anger.
Right.
Because they're like, I don't understand why you can't see what I see. And it's like, because you're living in
what you're seeing is
like,
not-
what are you talking
You're in
about?
la
It's
la
not
land.
real.
Yeah.
Joe Biden writing that. I kept my word. I didn't pardon my son. It's the pardon.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
You're commenting about
you
you
don't
pardoning
even-
yourself.
can't
You're
lead with
talking
that at all.
about the pardon. Like
That's ego. It's just
Yeah. So hopefully
It's good,
hopefully that leaves everybody between all of these three things that we just talked about, betwixt the three of us. Hopefully that leaves everybody here with something more than they came into the podcast with, and that's all we can really hope for, right?
Hit us with your quotes down below. Give us a
Oh,
quote.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Give us
Give
one
us
of
the
your
quotes.
quotes.
What's the thing that got you through your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something that you looked in the mirror and
Is it always be sexy? Because it should be always be sexy.
And
Let's
if
be real.
we see
You're
one
gonna
that we
remember
like, we will say it on the next
Maybe we'll say it
podcast,
on the
and
next
then we'll
podcast.
attribute it to ourselves.
Yeah. That's right. We will steal it.
I didn't even write this.
No. That's ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
I just ChatGPT that.
Watch me tell them all.
The tears were crocodile tears, and he's a psychopath.
I'm a psycho.
And with that,
We bid there.
I quit.
He refuses.